Hi, I'm David Marit, Minister of Agriculture for the province of Saskatchewan. On behalf of the Government of Saskatchewan, thank you for joining us for Canada's Farm Show. I want to express our appreciation to the Regina Exhibition Association, the show committee, and the many people who have taken on the huge job of hosting this virtual event. Organizing a national business-to-business event of this scale is no simple task. Given the challenges of the past year, offering Canada's Farm Show in this format is a remarkable achievement. 2020 was, in fact, a record year for agriculture exports in Saskatchewan at $16.9 billion. We experienced our second largest harvest on record at 39.5 million metric tons, which helps us lead the nation in growth in overall export sales over the previous year. It also brings us closer to meeting our growth plan goals for 2030 related to agriculture. This past year reinforced Saskatchewan's global reputation as a dependable source of safe, high-quality resources, goods, and products. We can thank the resilience and hard work of our producers and processors for this success. Our job is to support that hard work and to help make it easier. Over the next few minutes, I'll tell you about some of our other successes in Saskatchewan and how our sector will lead the economic recovery from COVID-19. Last year, Saskatchewan was the country's second largest agri-food exporter. That represents a 31% increase from 2019 and a new high for the province. 2020 reinforced to people the importance of having reliable and secure supply of safe, high-quality food. Our total provincial exports for 2020 were valued at over $30 billion. Leading exports are canola seed, non-durum wheat, lentils, canola oil, and durum. Value-added exports were $3.2 billion, with canola oil, canola meal, and processed oats as our top value-added products. Our largest markets for our value-added products include the U.S., China, Chile, Mexico, and Korea. The United States remains our biggest agri-food export destination. Saskatchewan's agri-food exports are diverse, with 8 foreign markets that import over $500 million of Saskatchewan agri-food products. All of Saskatchewan's main field crops, oilseeds, pulses, and cereal grains saw export increases in 2020. In 2019 and 2020, Saskatchewan recorded its second and third largest crops ever, with both years producing over 38 million metric tons of crop. As always, our producers were up for the unique challenges of managing this surge and getting it to markets around the world. Our Saskatchewan producers continue to build on record production. Saskatchewan companies have also been doing an excellent job of selling our products globally. Our producers and agribusiness also did an exceptional job of adopting supply chains to meet the challenges of the pandemic. This innovation and adaptability will continue to be important as our industry leads our economic recovery. We saw a significant increase in our pulse exports in 2020 to India, China, Turkey, Bangladesh, and the United Emirates. World demand for cereal grains is also growing. We are seeing continued growth in Asia markets due to urbanization, population growth, and changing consumer diets. In fact, last year, China surpassed the United States as Saskatchewan's largest export market for cereal grains. I know that our producers will meet the challenges of feeding the world and adapting to changing consumer demand. Saskatchewan has diversified its canola export markets over the past 2 years. This diversification includes developing markets in the European Union, Japan, Mexico, and the United Emirates. As we move forward with our economic recovery, we will continue to be guided by the goals of our growth plan. Agriculture is a significant component of Saskatchewan's growth plan. Of the 30 economic goals for the 2030 in the growth plan, 7 are related to agriculture. These include the following targets: growing Saskatchewan's agri-food exports to $20 billion, increasing crop production to 45 million metric tons, and increasing livestock cash receipts to $3 billion, expanding irrigation in the province of Saskatchewan, increasing agriculture value-added revenue to $10 billion, crushing 75% of the canola Saskatchewan produces here in Saskatchewan, processing 50% of the pulse crops Saskatchewan produces in Saskatchewan, and doubling meat processing and animal feed value-added revenue to more than $1 billion. Saskatchewan is well positioned to meet the growing global demand for food. We are also well positioned to expand our value-added agriculture opportunities right here in the province of Saskatchewan. Currently, there are approximately 11 million metric tons of canola being produced here in Saskatchewan each year. As of 2020, Saskatchewan processes approximately 4 million metric tons of that canola. Richardson International recently announced a new investment to increase processing capacity at its canola crush plant in Yorkton. This expansion will double the canola crush capacity at the facility to 2.2 million metric tons of canola seed annually. Cargill also recently announced that they will be building a new canola crush plant in the Regina area that will have the capacity to crush 1 million metric tons. As part of this announcement, Cargill also indicated that they will be modernizing and upgrading their Clavette canola crush facility. Cirrus recently announced a 1.1 million metric ton canola crush facility at Northgate. Viterra also announced that they will build a canola crush facility in the Regina area, which will add 2.5 million metric tons of crush capacity. This will make the facility the largest canola crush plant in the world. Once completed, Saskatchewan will have the capacity to crush 9.5 million metric tons of canola annually. The target in Saskatchewan's growth plan is to process 75% of the canola grown in this province here at home. Saskatchewan will have the capacity to process approximately 85% of our canola once these projects are up and finished. To achieve our growth plan goals and accelerate our recovery, we will continue to work closely with the Ministry of Trade and Export Development to help drive growth in the agriculture sector. Supporting our international trade and investment offices abroad supports the growth plan goals by strengthening our trade relationships. Export market diversification is, and always has been, one of the primary objectives of a trade-oriented economy like that of Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan continues to build trade relationships in our primary markets. To that end, in early 2021, the government of Saskatchewan opened 3 new trade offices in India, Japan, and Singapore to complement the office we already had in China. We also recently announced in our budget this spring that we will be adding another 4 trade offices this year. The locations of these offices will be in Dubai, Ho Chi Minh City, London, and Mexico City. When it is safe to resume such activities, we will also continue to seek growth opportunities in the agri-food industry through the use of trade missions and support for organizations such as Saskatchewan Trade and Export Partnership. The Canadian Agriculture Partnership, or CAP, is also an important piece of how we as a ministry support the industry. This is a federal-provincial cost-shared policy framework that provides program funding for strategic initiatives and business risk management. We worked with industry to set the main strategic priorities for CAP. The ministry continues to work with the industry to support our producers in their efforts to grow their operations. Our planning and programming is intended to help the sector achieve these targets, and we are coordinating our efforts across government. As part of our efforts to reach the goals outlined in the growth plan, we announced a record level of per-acre coverage for the 2021 crop insurance program. Research and development is also vital to moving our agriculture sector forward. Innovation is incredibly important, which is why we have continued last year's record investment of $32.9 million in agriculture research. We recognize a continued emphasis on research is key to stimulating industry growth. The growth plan emphasizes how fundamental our producers are to our economy and long-term plans. Meeting the growth plan goals is expected to grow producer incomes. Saskatchewan farm cash receipts for 2020 are estimated to be $16.4 billion, a new record for the province. That's $2.3 billion above 2019, an increase driven by 21.1% increase in crop receipts. Key increases in year-over-year crop receipts occurred for lentils, wheat, durum, and dry peas. Canola sales saw the largest increase over 2019, and canola remained the largest source of crop receipts in 2020. Realized net farm income for 2020 is estimated to be $4.2 billion. This is 63% above the 5-year average. Our growth plan actions will strengthen Saskatchewan's primary and value-added agriculture sectors and ultimately contribute to building a better quality of life for all Saskatchewan people. This is supported by the $4 billion irrigation expansion project at Lake Diefenbaker announced in 2020, which is currently in its first phase of development. The project is expected to transform Saskatchewan's agriculture economy and contribute significantly to meeting the growth plan goals. Large-scale irrigation development will not only benefit producers and boost investment in value-added processing, it will allow us to adapt to adverse weather events and dry conditions. Our commitment to expanding irrigation acres in Saskatchewan will more than double the amount of irrigation land here in Saskatchewan. We are also investing an additional $2.5 million for irrigation development projects this year. This funding will help to advance projects in areas outside of the Lake Diefenbaker West Side and South Qu'Appelle projects. Irrigation supports the growth of diverse, high-valued crops, which increases on-farm profitability, value-added processing opportunities, and business attraction and employment. As we emerge from COVID-19, significant opportunity also exists in increasing our value-added processing sector. Today, Saskatchewan's value-added sector comprises of over 300 food processing companies, employing an estimated 6,000 people. By capturing more value from the Saskatchewan-grown commodities, value-added agriculture strengthens the province's economy as a whole. It can transform directly to infrastructure and investment at the community level. Our value-added sector revenue doubled between 2004 and 2018 from $2.3 billion to an estimated $5.3 billion. We look forward to continued growth. The Saskatchewan Food Industry Development Centre in Saskatoon recently announced a major expansion. The centre is Saskatchewan's commercial incubation centre for food processing. This expansion will further assist value-added food processors with developing their products and expanding their markets. To date, the addition has added over 12,000 square feet at the site of the Agri-Food Innovation Centre in Saskatoon. The growth plan also includes a commitment to creating and maintaining a competitive tax environment in Saskatchewan. We know that creating an attractive environment for business to invest in our province will also be important to continued economic growth. There are a variety of programs and incentives we offer to attract investment. These programs and incentives are designed to grow our industry and our province. Canada's Farm Show is an incredibly important event in our agriculture industry. It provides a unique chance to find out what our needs are, where our strengths lie, and to create opportunities to connect with others in the industry. I believe that bringing industry together like this ultimately helps us to make the best future a reality. We are very pleased and very proud to help support this event. I encourage you to make the most of this year's show and take part in what I'm sure will be a productive and meaningful conversations over the next 2 days. Thank you and best wishes for a safe and successful year ahead.
Joining me now in studio, the Provincial Minister of Agriculture, Dave Marit. Thank you so much for your remarks, and thank you for joining me here today.
Thanks for having me on, Sherilyn. It really is a pleasure.
We must go back 20 years?
Probably longer than we probably care to remember, but yeah, over 20 years, I think, really.
I was trying to remember. Likely we would have crossed paths when you were president of SARM, probably in amongst before that. I would say over the last couple of decades that we would have known each other, the number of farmers has decreased, and therefore the number of farmers that are interested in politics, interested in policy issue has likely decreased as well. So it's no surprise you and I would run in a lot of the same circles.
Right.
But I'm also very proud to call you my member of the Legislative Assembly from down south.
Yeah, it's a humbling experience to obviously be elected for my second term for the constituents of Wood River last fall. So, and obviously very honored and humbled to be given this prestigious title of the Minister of Agriculture for the greatest agriculture province in the world. I'll say it, and I have no problem. I mean, the ag industry here in Saskatchewan is, and I've said it publicly, I say it again, is the granddaddy of industries here. And it just, I mean, we're just coming off the busiest time of the year. We're winding it down as far as getting the crop in the ground. And no, it really is an honor to be given this title. It really is.
I commend you. This is not the time to be humble. I remember first coming back into the agriculture industry and having all of this energy and all of this excitement, but the industry didn't have a lot of energy and a lot of excitement. And I think we've come a long way.
We really have. It's an exciting place to be in the province of Saskatchewan, especially in the ag sector. I mean, I am just in awe of watching these young farmers and what they're doing. But I think you just look back, Shirley. You know, you said we met 20 years ago, and that's about when I got onto SARM. But the technology and the whole ag sector and how it's changed. I mean, I farmed all my life as well. And I mean, and if I just go back 20 years in our part of the world, really canola wasn't even thought of. It really was, even pulses weren't really even thought of much in our part of the world, in the southern part. Now they've just taken over the whole province. They really have. And to see the technology and how it's changed and how we really are as farmers and the ranching community as a whole, how we're really looking after the land that we operate. And I talk about this when I'm on foreign trade missions, and companies around the world are looking at what we're doing here. They really are. So there's so much to talk about that I could go on and on, but this is really an exciting time for agriculture in the province of Saskatchewan. It really is.
It must be a real honor to represent agriculture and represent Canadian agriculture on a global stage.
It really is. And once again, I mean, it's a humbling place to be, but to meet with owners of companies that are, multi-billion-dollar companies, and you sit across the table like this and you tell them the story of what we do and how we do it. And then they say right back to you, well, that's why we're looking to do business with you folks, is because of the way you're doing it. You're doing it in an environmentally friendly way. You're growing a high quality product, and you're growing a consistent product that we can rely on in our processing side, that we sell to our customers, and their customers are asking them, how is this product growing? And to see that, and I've only been on 2 missions. I've been privileged to meet owners of companies in Mexico, United Emirates, India, and Bangladesh, to really, for them to grasp just how we're doing it here and why we're doing it the way we're doing it. It really is, it was really an education for me that they know what we're doing and they like what we're doing. And that's why they're increasing their business here. And that's why you're seeing our products sell. I mean, we just came off of 2 record years of growth of growing agriculture products, and we've sold it all. What's that telling you? That's telling you the world wants what we grow here, and they like the way we're doing it.
As a farmer, we're challenged with always wanting to grow new things.
Yeah.
Canada used to be known as the breadbasket of the world. We grew a lot of wheat in our neck of the woods. It was Durham wheat, which we still grow. But as you mentioned, we now have exciting new things on the menu. We've got canola, which is an important piece. You talked about the increase in canola crush, which could not be better news for farmers. The protein industry, with pulse crops. I'm a lentil and a chickpea grower, so having those increased markets means everything to me, and we appreciate that.
And it does, and I think that's one thing our government has really grabbed onto. And you look at our investment into research. We've invested heavily into research, which we do for all the right reasons. Obviously, we want to grow, obviously higher quality crops. We want to grow higher yielding crops, more drought resistant, disease resistant. We've both been farming straight cut canola. It's just taken over the whole market system, and it's amazing what's happening there. I mean, lentil research, pea research. We've got a research project going on right now where the researchers are going to develop a yellow pea that's going to have a protein content greater than 25%. I mean, it's incredible what we're doing here, and that whole protein extraction phenomenon around the world and what's going on. But the exciting part that I see what's happening is countries around the world. We are divesting our markets to countries around the world that probably decades ago didn't even know who we were. And to see it into Indonesia and seeing the growth in Pakistan and Bangladesh, India, China as well, but even the United States. I mean, just seeing the industry grow the way it has is a great place to be. And you know, I see it as my role as the Minister of Agriculture is to tell our story. To tell our story the right way so that these companies and these countries want to come here and do business. Because at the end of the day, my biggest concern is that the farmer's bottom line here gets better and they have opportunity to move product. That's really what I feel my role is.
Yeah. You know, in any marketing curriculum, they would talk about customer and buyer, you know, buyers and sellers. The challenge for me as a farmer is, you know, we grow and we sell, but we don't often meet our customer. So there's this huge chunk in the middle that is trying to get to know our customer. We're trying to blend what the customer is asking for with what agronomics we have to work with. We've got a lot of challenges on the farm. You know, we're still sitting in a bit of a drought. I got, you know, it's been texting Mother Nature and not once does she reply. So we're faced with a lot of agronomic decisions we have to make. At the same time, at a bit of a crossroads, what our customers are asking us. So we depend a lot on a Minister of Agriculture to be in the middle. Yeah, and I think that's where our role is to really help facilitate that. Also with the buyer, with the grower yourself, but also with the industry. You know, I mean, you know, I farmed all my life. When I dumped my product in the pit at the elevator, it was out of my hands. It was done, right? I was happy with my grade and price, and that's what it was. Well, then it's up to the industry players to play the role of playing the market and selling it to the world. And I think that's the one thing that I heard from the customers internationally is they like, you know, and they name the companies, they know who they are and they know who's representing them, and they like the consistent supply of product. So I think that's an important factor to really get out there is, you know, I talked to a Mexico milling company that wheat. They buy number 2 14-5 protein wheat, and that's what they want, and they like it because they get a consistent supply. So that's what we really have to do as a government, I feel. And I think with the opening of the trade offices that we're seeing, you know, internationally, we're doing that for a very specific reason. There's a story for us to tell to the industry and to these countries that are looking at product to expand, and they're looking to, you know, we grow food. We're the best at growing food, fuel, and fertilizer. We are. And so we have to tell them what we're doing and help facilitate our industry stakeholders with companies and countries that want to buy our product. And that's really where I see us as a real facilitator in helping that. And I know there's, you know, the federal, you know, Canada as a whole has trade offices all over the world. But I mean, they're dealing with companies right across Canada. This really helps us focus on companies that are right here, whether they're manufacturing, whether it's mining, or whether it's agriculture. Is really to help build those relationships and grow those trading partners. Diversify our markets so we're not dependent on 1 or 2 or 3 different continents or countries around the world. Yeah, really no different than the diversifying we've had to do as farmers. As our own individual basis. Yeah. Exactly right. Yeah, it's really an honor to be able to help facilitate that. And I think you just have to be able to communicate that with the companies around the world and have that, I don't want to say it's an ability, but just be able to listen as much as talk sometimes, and just hear, you know, what they're saying and what they want, and then bring that home and deliver it. So you also have to listen to the stories on behalf of farmers. Yeah. And I'm sure you've met farmers from all different areas of the province and from all different areas of the world, really. But can you share with us some of your experience in meeting and representing farmers? Are we a challenging bunch, is what I'm saying? Well, yeah, we are. I mean, you just look under the Ministry of Agriculture. You look at the different boards and commissions we have, right? And you try and address their needs, and whether it's, you know, the livestock side or the grain side, and all aspects of it. And you just got to be able to balance that. Because obviously you got to be fiscally prudent as well. So you look at your business risk management programs, you really look at that and say, okay, how can we deliver a product that really gets to where it has to get to? And that's to the producers, right? To enable them to grow their business, whatever it might be, whether it's making honey or growing berries or growing canola or irrigation or anything. Yeah. The one thing that I found in my years of being in municipal politics, and really, you know, SARM was, you know, really an ag-based. It's in their active incorporation to be engaged in agriculture.
And I remember being interviewed nationally one time because I was also chair of the Rural Forum at the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. And the issues in Ontario and PEI were no different than Saskatchewan to some degree too. And it was really something that really I grabbed onto that really concerned me when I saw what kind of was happening is what's happening to our rural voice. When I see and listen to my colleagues across the country, they were concerned the same way. I mean, obviously, the decisions are made around elections, around population. When you look at federally programming money distribution, it's based on population. And so then it has an impact, a negative impact on rural communities as a whole. And so, I made that comment and to a professor, and I said, well, my concern is that rural Canada is losing its political voice because of the demographics and everything else that's happening. So I think that was probably one thing that really opened my eyes, is that if we're going to do something for agriculture, then we have to stand up for it. And you have to stand up for it at a table where you're meeting with, at that time, Mayor of Toronto, David Miller, had a great discussion with him about the impact of agriculture and what it means to his city. I mean, you look at the processing and everything else he has. And we came up with a pretty good theme at Rural Forum, and it was true. Rural Canada really is the fuel of the economy of Canada. It really is a fuel.
The fuel of the economy of Canada?
It is.
Very good.
And the urbans are the engines. And you can't have one without the other. And it really is a collaboration of working together that will supply the resources to grow the industry. You just have to look around Regina. You got potash mines out, west of the city or Saskatoon. I mean, those resources are all in rural. You look at oil and gas, it's all rural. But the people that work in them and help service them and do that are living in urban communities.
Yeah.
And so it really is, a working together and a collaboration of doing that.
I would suggest that agriculture has always been such a big part of Canada's economy, but we've kind of trugged along, under the radar, done what we needed to do, increased our numbers. I mean, it's an impressive industry, but the spotlight is now on agriculture. And it's not just because of COVID, but COVID exacerbated it. And the spotlight is on our industry. And so it's become increasingly important for farmers to tell their stories, but it's not part of our everyday. There's been no generation of farmers before me that has had to have storytelling and sharing stories with consumers and social media as part of their already exhaustive to-do list. Yeah. So do you have some advice for farmers?
No, it's true that way. And you know what? The farming community, they're a busy group of folks, regardless of what, you said something earlier. I mean, the farms are getting bigger and they're farming, and they're it's business now. It's big business now. Yeah. And there's big decisions making, and the whole aspect of social media is really, taking it and I mean, I think it's great. Farmers are making deals on their tractors. They are. I'm sure you have. And it's really a story that has to be told, because you're right. I think the farming community looks obviously to government for leadership in that role, and how you roll that out. And I think us as a government here in the province of Saskatchewan have obviously made agriculture a priority. It is a priority for us. It's a major player. I mean, just look what it did in 2019 and 2020, and hopefully this year again as well. I mean, prices are good, but it's driving other industries as well. We're seeing other investments, and I mean, you just have to look around this province in the last 5 years and just see how the agricultural landscape, the yards have changed. Yeah. And that's just a whole industry within itself. And, it's phenomenal to see this growth. And the big thing that we're really seeing happen here, that we're doing everything we can, is put the right tools in place to see value added growth. Yeah. We don't have to own it. We just have to put the tools in place to let the private come in and do it, and they'll do it. And they are doing it. We're seeing it.
It's incredibly exciting to be in this industry and to be a part of all of this. Do you have there's no crystal ball on the stage today, but any thoughts about what might be coming down the pipeline that would energize the next generation, keep them interested?
I think we're starting to see just a growth strategy here that I think, and you're right. I mean, you touched on it. COVID, it probably added something to it, but we're starting to see a trend where, and it was really coming from the consumer.
where they really wanted to know where their product was grown and how it's growing. They're driving this thing. The consumers are driving this thing. So the business is saying, well, I'm going to have to go where it's growing, and I'm going to have to talk to farmers, talk to ranchers, and say, okay, what are you doing and how are you doing it? And we're seeing that growth. I think the opportunities are really going to escalate here, because as a result probably of COVID, but it was starting to mainstream. You did say that. Food has now become a number one priority in a lot of people's eyes. It really has. We're seeing population growth, but we're also seeing diets change. In countries around the world where we're seeing increased middle class population, and diets are changing, and so then the demand for that product. I mean, whoever thought of protein extraction in pulse crops? If you'd have said that 10 years ago, I'd have been like this. Like, what are you talking about?
We grow chickpeas. My father-in-law still can't stand to eat them.
Yeah, but I mean, you look at the biggest population around the world, and that's their mainstay.
Right.
And it's not once a day or twice a day. They eat it 3-4 times a day.
Right.
So it's important for us to recognize where the opportunities are as a government, and work with the industry and the stakeholders to say, look, we can help facilitate this and put the tools in place, but let the industry drive it, and they will. The consumers will come, the countries will. They're going to say, look, we want to do business here. We like what we're getting. We just want more, and we'll see that.
Minister Marit, it is always a pleasure to visit with you. It's been a pleasure to watch you in your career. I wish I could say that it's going to be so easy for you over the next couple of years, but the farming community thanks you for your leadership, and we look forward to strong collaboration.
Well, you know what? I'll end on one little thing, and how I got into this. And the councillor in my division, in my municipality, came to me. He was retiring. He said, David, you got to run for council. And whoever thought 27 years later I'd be sitting at this stage as the Minister of Agriculture. But you say yes once and see what happens. It gets you. But I want to say this too, if I can.
Please.
If I could really thank somebody publicly, I'd thank my family. I really would. For giving me this.
Please. Yep. Yeah.
No, it's. I mean, if they didn't make the sacrifices to allow me to do this, I wouldn't be here.
It's a demanding industry.
Yeah.
It's a demanding role, and there's not many people that have the guts to stick it out. So thank you for your time, your energy, and thank you to your family.
Thank you so much.
For that. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you're looking to add an expert voice to your decision-making process, invite your local Ministry of Agriculture specialist to the table. Located in offices around the province, specialists provide the latest agronomic and programming information and advice tailored to your operation. Contact the Agriculture Knowledge Centre by phone or online to connect with your nearest specialist today.